need that guy. And I think Ilia Topuria and Islam might be that for each other. So while you may not like each other, you may need each other to go to the next level. So you're telling me right now you think he beats Islam?
I think he beats Islam.
Oh my God.
I always thought he would beat Islam. Here's why. Because I think Islam had struggled with in the Volkanovski fight, the very first Volkanovski fight, he struggled with getting underneath Alexander Volkanovski.
I said earlier this week that if Islam loses that fight, he wouldn't give the opportunity for Islam to fight for his belt again. Is that something you'd bypass? Because that seems like such a big fight to make.
I mean, this is all talk.
Speculative.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
But I imagine that's a fight you guys would want to make at some point. I mean, just the magnitude
Sure.
of it.
I mean, I'd make that fight tomorrow.
Daniel Cormier recently shared his thoughts on a potential showdown between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev. The discussion quickly turned to the pound-for-pound rankings. Could Ilia actually overtake Islam? During the debate, both Cormier and analyst Din Thomas had differing takes. Din argued in favor of Topuria, citing his dynamic fighting style and the unique challenges he could bring to someone like Makhachev.
So you're telling me right now you think he beats Islam?
I think he beats Islam.
Oh my God.
I always thought he would beat Islam. Here's why. Because I think Islam had struggled with in the Volkanovski fight, the very first Volkanovski fight, he struggled with getting underneath Alexander Volkanovski. Islam struggled to get underneath him to be able to take him down. He's going to have a hard time getting underneath Topuria. He's going to have a hard time getting underneath Topuria to take him down. If you don't take him down, he's getting knocked.
Cormier, meanwhile, remained firm in his stance. He still sees Islam Makhachev as the top pound-for-pound fighter in the world. According to him, if Islam steps up to a higher weight class and secures a win, particularly over a dangerous opponent like Jack Della Maddalena, it would solidify his legacy as a dominant force across multiple divisions.
So I would imagine that you don't agree with my next point then. Because I was going to say, he is the #1 pound-for-pound fighter today. But if Islam is able to beat Jack Della Maddalena, it flips again. And then Islam goes back to #1 pound-for-pound. Only because it is, Dean. Dean, listen. Only because it is. Fighting style will then be proven to go up to the next weight class. So then Islam will have done everything Topuria has done at a heavier weight, 4 title defenses at 155, and then the new champion at welterweight. So yes, I agree. He is pound-for-pound #1 today. But I think the moment if Islam is able to win, he then goes back to pound-for-pound #1.
The debate between Din Thomas and Daniel Cormier didn't stop there. They continued to clash over whether a victory over Jack Della Maddalena would truly elevate Islam Makhachev to the undisputed pound-for-pound #1. Din wasn't convinced. He argued that Jack, while talented, doesn't yet have the resume or a legacy to make such a win significant in the grand scheme?
Absolutely not. Because the win over Jack Della Maddalena doesn't really prove it. I mean, in fact, Jack was like ranked 7 until he won the belt.
But this
Jack's not a Hall of Famer, like the way he don't have the strength to schedule the Ilia guy.
Cormier pushed back, pointing out that Ilia Topuria hasn't been tested the same way Islam Makhachev has. He noted that Topuria has been the favorite in nearly all of his bouts, except a potential one against Islam. That if Islam were to claim a second belt, it would be undeniable proof of his greatness. Din Thomas wasn't buying it. He argued that Topuria's favored status is a reflection of his elite skill set. In his view, for Islam to truly earn the pound-for-pound crown, he'd need to defeat a legendary name, someone like Kamaru Usman.
Ilia right now will only fight fights he's supposed to win until he fights Islam. Because every one of his challengers, right now, he's -600 against Paddy. He's -300 against Arman. He's -350 against Justin. Only person he's an underdog to is Makhachev. So if Makhachev becomes the welterweight champ, doesn't he go back to pound-for-pound #1, Dean?
Absolutely not. The fact that Ilia is such a strong favorite already says enough about how good we think he is.
I think he's great too.
And if Makhachev beats Jack Della Maddalena, that to me, that's not really the feather in his cap that he needs. He needs to beat a stronger opponent. I think he needs to beat a Hall of Famer. If he were to knock out Kamaru Usman, that would be different.
Still Daniel. Cormier had nothing but respect for Ilia Topuria. He acknowledged Topuria's impressive performances and composure, questioning why some fans have booed him at all. According to Cormier, Ilya has conducted himself with class and hasn't crossed any lines. While comparisons to Conor McGregor are common, Cormier pointed out that Ilya's demeanor outside the cage is far more reserved and respectful.
All right, guys, so it's time for my final thought. Ilia Topuria is great. I tell you one thing. It don't matter if you love him or you hate him. I don't understand why so many were booing him over the course of last week when in reality, all he has done is the right thing. I get it. There are a lot of comparisons to Conor McGregor. There's a lot of differences in Ilia Topuria. He has not carried himself in the way that McGregor did. So while there are similarities in the fight career, we have to understand who Ilia Topuria has shown us to be as the man is vastly different. So while the actions are great inside the octagon, to this point, all he has shown us is great actions outside of the octagon.
Cormier also addressed the friction between Ilia Topuria and fans from Dagestan, acknowledging that while the relationship might be tense, there's still a mutual respect beneath the surface. He praised Ilya's unwavering confidence and commanding presence, saying it's the mark of a fighter who's fully committed to his journey. In Cormier's view, Topuria's current rise through the ranks is among the most impressive streaks the sport has seen in recent memory.
Now I know my great friends out in Dagestan may not have the best relationship with him, but I do know if I know these guys, they respect what he has done inside the octagon. We'll see what happens in the future. But as of today, just acknowledge that this kid is great and he's different. And what he's doing to this point is as good as anything we have seen in a really long time. That confidence, that smile, that walk lets you know that you are watching an individual who believes that only success lies ahead of him every time they step into the octagon.
In a separate podcast appearance, Daniel Cormier drew parallels between past and present rivalries. He pointed out that, just like Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov pushed each other to new levels of fame and greatness, Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev could be on the verge of building the next iconic rivalry. Cormier emphasized that even if there's tension or dislike between them, they might actually need each other to elevate their legacies and careers to the next tier.
You need that guy. And I think Ilia Topuria and Islam might be that for each other. So while you may not like each other, you may need each other to go to the next level. So I appreciate Conor for helping Khabib achieve the life that he has today.
Robert Whittaker also weighed in, saying Ilia Topuria is currently the UFC's biggest star and in his eyes deserves the #1 pound-for-pound spot. He pointed to Topuria's momentum, dominant performances, and big wins over names like Volkanovski, Holloway, and Oliveira, as well as his willingness to move up in weight as key reasons for his rapid rise. Whittaker still gave credit to Islam Makhachev, acknowledging him as a phenomenal fighter who absolutely belongs in the conversation. However, he noted that Islam's last fight came against a short-notice replacement, which didn't carry the same impact as Topuria's recent run. From Whittaker's perspective, timing, the performances, and the hype all point to Topuria sitting at the top, at least for now. As for Dana White, responded to Topuria's recent comments about potentially denying Islam a title shot if he loses. Dana dismissed it as just talk. He emphasized that the UFC would still be eager to make that fight happen. It's calling it a massive, exciting matchup that fans would love to see.
Ilya's win, everyone's really excited to potentially see a future fight with him and Islam. I know that's the fight that people wanted. Ilya said earlier this week that if Islam loses that fight, he wouldn't give the opportunity for Islam to fight for his belt again. Is that something you'd bypass? Because that seems like such a big fight to make.
I mean, this is all talk.
Speculative.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
But I imagine that's a fight you guys would want to make at some point. I mean, just the magnitude of it.
I mean, I'd make that fight tomorrow.
Earlier, Daniel Cormier spoke about Islam Makhachev's pursuit of legacy, saying that despite his achievements, Islam sometimes feels overlooked or underappreciated. Cormier also cautioned fans who are hoping for a quick matchup with Ilia Topuria, noting that Khabib Nurmagomedov's team is known for being highly selective. They only back fights they fully believe in, according to Cormier, when that camp speaks. People should listen. They've always been known for their honesty and clear intentions.
Khabib is about as straight a shooter as you're ever going to find. I'm telling you, when he's mad at me, he tells me. When he's mad at someone else, he tells you. He doesn't hide. So when you hear him say things publicly, take it as fact. This isn't him posturing. This isn't these guys trying to raise the price on a fight or anything. This is a true emotion, a true feeling, because honestly, that's how these guys operate. Islam has title fight victories, but they're Volkanovski, huge name of the featherweight, Dustin Poirier, name, right? And he probably felt the love after Renato Moicano, right? On short notice. So of his 4 fights, there are a lot of situations where he just didn't probably feel the love. And if you're trying to build a legacy, you got to feel that love. The update should not feel good for people that support the idea that Ilia Topuria should fight next. I'm just being honest with you, because I'm telling you, I know these dudes. I know these dudes, and I know when they talk to you, you might as well listen, because they're telling you the truth. Love it or hate it, they're telling you the truth. Dude ain't doing what he doesn't want to do.
Demetrius Johnson also offered his take on a potential showdown between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria. He highlighted that, as a southpaw, Islam would likely use body kicks, strategic movement, and feints to control range and keep Topuria at bay. Johnson also pointed out that Islam's judo skills could come into play, potentially allowing him to take the fight to the ground and look for a submission finish.
Islam's a southpaw, so he's gonna probably throw body kicks to keep his arms busy, keep the distance, move, feint, maybe use some judo to take him down and try to get him to the ground and try to submit him. But, you know, once again, like I have to see, you know, I have to see what Islam does at JDM.
He highlighted Ilia Topuria's striking danger, explaining that once Ilia finds his range, he becomes a serious threat. Even if it takes time, Ilia usually finds a way to land. The key question, Demetrius said, is whether Islam can avoid that danger zone or chooses to engage there.
But, you know, I know the one thing that's the factor is that Ilia is always going to focus on getting to the right spot and find his opponents. When he gets there, he's going to unload. If Ilia can't get there, then he's going to figure out another way to get there. So the question is, how does everybody avoid that sweet spot against Ilia? That's the question, because Ilia is going to fight in a 25-minute fight. That's what it comes down to. And then you go from like, hey, how does Islam keep Ilia away from that spot, or does Islam meet him there? Right? There's so much, you know, that goes into it, and my brain is all over the place. So for me to give like a clear-cut answer, I just, you know, I'm just like, I'm running around in circles.
Corey Sandhagen also weighed in on the potential matchup, saying he would give the edge to Ilia Topuria. He believes Topuria's physical frame would make it tough for Islam Makhachev to secure takedowns. And if the fight remains on the feet, Sandhagen sees a clear advantage for Ilia. He also praised Topuria's defensive skills, adding that he doesn't believe Islam would be able to inflict much damage in that scenario.
I honestly think Ilia would win that fight.
Let me get your breakdown of that fight.
I'm gonna actually go against, I think, what most people say, and I honestly think Ilia would win that fight. I think his like stature is gonna be hard to take down for Islam, and I think if those two are standing, I just think that Ilia is a way dangerous guy standing, and I just can't really see Islam like hurting him because his guard is real good, and I think Ilia will win that one.
Bello Muhammad also shared his perspective, noting that Ilia Topuria displayed strong grappling skills in his fight with Charles Oliveira. However, he emphasized that facing Islam Makhachev would be an entirely different level of challenge. According to Bello, Islam's relentless pressure, top control, and well-timed takedowns would force Ilia into deep waters, particularly testing his conditioning as the fight drags into the later rounds.
Obviously, the fight everybody wants to see is him in Islam. He showed that he does have wrestling defense. He defended Oliveira's takedowns on the ground. He passed his guard. He got to good positions on the ground. I know people are saying, oh, he got up from the ground, he didn't play the guard. It's like, he played the ground a little bit, then he got up, and then he knocked him out. So I don't know what you guys want. Everybody they're never satisfied, but I mean, he looked great. For me, when I look at that matchup and I break it down, I think Islam is very good with defense and with distance. If he's close, he's grappling. He's not staying in that brawling zone that Topuria loves. If he's within grabbing your range, he's grabbing you. And I don't care if Topuria is able to defend the first or second takedown, Islam's gonna keep you there. He's gonna push you on the cage. If I'm in Islam's corner, that's what I'm doing. I'm keeping him there, especially for the first second, third round, trying to initiate that takedown. Oliveira got the body lock pretty early. Islam is really good there with the trips, with the body locks, with the single legs there. I think he would have continued grappling there, and it would have been a lot more interesting. It would have definitely got past the first round, and we would have seen how Topuria held up. He didn't really need to show his cardio.
Belal also said the fight absolutely needs to happen, calling it an exciting matchup that goes beyond the usual striker versus grappler narrative. He pointed out that Islam's striking has come a long way and can't be overlooked. Bella expects Ilya to push forward and try to dictate the pace by controlling the center of the cage, an area where Islam may be less comfortable. At the same time, he praised Makhachev's use of kicks and his ability to stay just outside of boxing range unless he's ready to close the distance for a takedown.
That one's a fun one, man. I'm excited for it. If it does happen, I do think it needs to happen. Stylistically, I don't think it's grappler against striker. Islam showed his last couple fights that he is comfortable on the feet. He's fought the shorter guy in Volkanovski, and he's played a little bit striking, showed moments in that fight where he knocked him out with a head kick. And then the Dustin fight, he showed his boxing. He showed that he can hit on the feet. I think with Topuria, who does have really good grappling, really good wrestling, he's gonna wanna push Islam backwards, keeping Islam on his back foot, keeping Islam's against the cage where he's uncomfortable, and he's really good with his feinting.
Bainel Dariush also shared his thoughts on the potential matchup, leaning toward Islam Makhachev as the likely winner. He pointed to Islam's size advantage and his ability to mix distance control with well-timed takedowns as key factors. Dariush emphasized that Islam's smart use of kicks and wrestling could create serious problems for Ilya. That said, he acknowledged Topuria's knockout power and admitted that if Ilya were to land clean, he wouldn't be shocked to see Islam get stopped.
I think it would still go the same. I think, Islam has such a big size advantage, and if he, distance kicks, takedown, rinse and repeat, if he continues to mix those things up, I think it would be a difficult fight for Ilya. But from what I saw, it wouldn't surprise me if he was able to put Makhachev's lights out too.
Finally, Belal Muhammad mentioned that both fighters are likely already in discussions with the UFC to make the fight happen. Believes Ilia Topuria is being rated appropriately, not overhyped, and certainly not underrated. Bella gave credit where it's due, pointing to Ilya's highlight reel knockouts over Max Holloway, Alexander Volkanovski, and Charles Oliveira as proof that he's earned the respect he's now receiving.
On the other side, Islam is really good with his kicks. If he mixes the kicks up low, body high, Islam's not going to be in that boxing range unless he's grabbing you. I'm sure both of them are on the call or on the line right now, talking to Hunter or Dana, and they're trying to work that fight. Is Topuria underrated or overrated? I mean, I think he's rated right? He's your last 3 wins, be a knockout of Holloway, who's never been knocked out before, to knock out Volk, who looked great at the last fight, and then now just to knock out Oliveira at 155 up a weight class. I mean, how can you deny the guy? He talks and he says what he's gonna do, and he does it. So you gotta respect him, you gotta give it to him. But yeah, I don't think he's underrated at all.
Arman Sarukian also weighed in with confidence, saying that if Islam Makhachev had faced Ilia Topuria at UFC 317, the fight would have ended in a knockout. He believes Islam is operating on a different level right now and sees a major shift coming within the sport. While Arman expressed respect for Islam's skill set, he didn't hold back about his own ambition, stating clearly that his goal is to surpass everyone and claim the title of the #1 fighter in the world.
What do you think would have happened if Ilya fought Islam this weekend?
Islam Makhachev.
He would have beaten him?
By TKO.
Oh, wow. Really?
I mean, that's a different level of fighters.
You think so? Wow.
You can't compare Ilya versus Islam.
Really? I have Ilya #1 pound for pound now.
Yes, because Islam not champion anymore right now.
Right.
But when he gets the second title, he's gonna be pound for pound #1.
So you think he beats Jack?
He beats Jack.
Yeah.
Became a pound for pound #1. I'll be pound for pound #2 champion lightweight division, and then beat Islam and became a pound for pound #1.
Wow, I love it. You have it all mapped out.
Cody Brundage also had high praise for Ilia Topuria, especially for his knockout victories over Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski. He said that if Ilya were to defeat Islam Makhachev, It could launch him into the conversation as one of the greatest fighters of all time, possibly even top 3. Brundage emphasized just how dominant Ilya has looked and how one more massive win could solidify a legendary legacy.
It's a crazy fight. You know, we talked about that. You know, Yusuf obviously at 145, he's on a tear. He's making his come up, and he wants that Ilya fight so bad. They already fought once, but we were talking about if Ilya goes in and knocks out Islam Makhachev, like how high do we put him on the GOAT list? Right? Like to me, I'm like, John Jones is number 1 no matter what. I don't think anybody could surpass John Jones for a long time. Obviously it would take a ton, but everyone in my circle at least is like, man, if he goes and knocks out Islam after knocking out Holloway, after knocking out Volk, he's got to be up there like top 3.
Brundage also pointed out that Ilia Topuria's grappling doesn't get the credit it deserves. He highlighted Ilia's solid wrestling base and strong jiu-jitsu game as often overlooked assets. That said, Brundage gave a slight edge to Islam Makhachev, citing the size difference as a major factor in what he sees as a very close matchup. Still, he expects the fight to be fast-paced, competitive, and one of the most exciting clashes the UFC could put together.
And he could do it. I think people, like, he's been knocking all these people out. People really sleep on Ilya's grappling. He's a super high-level black belt with really good submissions, really good wrestling. And so I think people are worried, like saying, like, oh, well, he'll get out-wrestled, but he has great wrestling. So, man, I don't know. I would have to go with Islam because he's bigger, and I think weight maybe plays a factor when you have 2 really highly skilled guys, but that would be an absolute banger of a fight.
Georges St. Pierre also shared his thoughts, praising both Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev as exceptionally well-rounded and highly skilled fighters. He highlighted Islam's remarkable ability to control opponents, with easy often taking them down or dropping them with very little effort. St. Pierre pointed to Islam's relentless pressure and elite grappling as key weapons, making a potential showdown between the two a thrilling matchup for fans.
Yeah, I mean, that's another same thing. I mean, Topuria, when he touches, it falls, you know, and on the other side, Makhachev, he applies so much pressure. He's an elite grappler. I mean, they're both good in every areas. It's a great fight for the fans.
In another comment, Georges St. Pierre acknowledged the incredible skill both Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev bring to the table, but he also reminded fans of an important truth: no fighter is invincible. He noted that even the most dominant athletes are still human, and in a sport like MMA, all it takes is one small mistake to change everything. That unpredictability, he said, is what makes every fight so compelling. Mateusz Gamrat also gave his take on a potential clash between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev, calling it a thrilling matchup, but expressing doubt abou.
His skill set are amazing. I mean, he's champion for a reason, but nobody is invincible. Everybody can lose, everybody can make a mistake.
Topuria's chances. He pointed to the noticeable size difference, arguing that Islam's physical strength and well-rounded skill set give him a significant advantage. Gamrat stressed that to truly threaten someone like Islam, fighter needs to match his size and power qualities he feels Topuria may not fully possess.
For me, interesting fight, but but I don't know. Topuria is small guy. Islam is really big guy, and I don't think that Topuria has changed against him. You know, like if you wanna fight with Islam, you have to be like big guy, like similar like him, because he's good everywhere. But if your body is smaller than him, so you don't have change for sure.
Dustin Poirier also chimed in, saying that if Ilia Topuria can successfully defend Islam Makhachev's takedowns, his striking and knockout power could give him a real edge. He acknowledged Islam's improved stand-up game and smart footwork, calling how Islam maintained a difficult range during their own fight. However, Poirier pointed out that the size difference could be a major factor in his opinion. It might be the deciding element in the outcome.
How do you think he would do against Islam?
I mean, if he can stop the takedowns, I think his boxing is better than Islam's. I think he's a bigger puncher. Yeah. Islam's technique is getting a lot better on the feet. He's kind of crafty and elusive. When I fought him, you know, he fought at a weird range, but I think the size difference is just too much, I believe.
That wraps up today's video. Now we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on a potential showdown between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev? Who do you think comes out on top, and why? Drop your predictions in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss an update. And be sure to check out the other videos now appearing on your screen for more MMA content you won't want to miss.